see a one Lauren Masika Kazimoto. From the entire team of Good Morning Uganda, we wish you a warm, happy, a successful year ahead. Robert, when we are wishing Lauren a happy birthday, what could be a message to her this morning?
May you achieve all the best that the world has for you.
All right. And of course, from the entire team here, for us, we're saying a happy birthday, Kazimoto. I think everyone who has noticed or observed her while anchoring news, you will be in love with the way she pronounces her three names, Lauren Masika Kazimoto. We wish you a happy birthday from the entire team of Good Morning Uganda. Now, that said, it is Thursday, meaning it's a throwback to the moments and the memories that really rocked our earlier days on this particular planet of Earth. Let me check on the team and see how they are doing. Again, today, Olive Monica Najuma is not with us, but hopefully she will be back with us tomorrow. In the team, Uncle Bob is here. Robert Chirabo Nyonyi Ntono, that name was supposed to be pronounced on Friday. My apologies to Robert Chirabo Nyonyi Ntono, who is with me in Studio A. But in Studio B, I have Chantal Olive Akandinda, who I will definitely go in and check on her to see how she's doing. Good morning, Chantal.
Good morning, Sonko.
Good morning, good morning. How are you doing? Well, my energy on a Thursday is just getting up, but I want to believe by midday it will be at 100%. How is yours?
You and me both. I just want to njagala isawachino. To our DJ Mpima, we appreciate
the producer.
The Thursday, yes, the Thursday throwbacks we appreciate because that was great music.
You know, and
DJs have those unique names. Now he plays all these and is DJ Mpima. So the name matches exactly the music.
The music being
yes.
played.
Okay. Robert, don't add many things that will...
No, I was just making a journalistic observation.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just making a journalistic observation.
You were being very critical with your words. And well, of course, we all love the choice of words that Chantal Oliver Kanida has chosen to use this morning. Chantal, let's get into, you know, a throwback. What is happening in the education sector is that new developments are revealing that if a teacher does not have a degree, the chances are so high they are no longer going to be having a job. But that is a conversation we're going to be having for our newsreel. Right. Speaking of the throwback, what is that memory of yours with your teachers, whether in primary or in high school, that you still remember up to date, or a memory that you still share from your days at school?
Well, I had quite a number of them. Just so you know, at one point, it wasn't for so long, but at one point, I was among the kids that went to school without shoes. That was in primary.
Oh. And what had happened?
But way before. That is one of the memories that I have. But also, the other memory that I have was that I was always this kid that loved to write. And every now and then I would write poems and then take to my English teacher. I was a favorite to all my English teachers, all the way from primary up to high school. I was a favorite of my English teachers and literature, and I always wrote poems and then took to them and always got, you know, the teacher gives you a ruler, and if you're in primary and they give you a ruler, a beautiful ruler in purple color, usually the other rulers were like white, all transparent. Me, I got myself a purple one from, she's called Teacher Esther at City Parents. She got for me because I had written a very beautiful poem. So that is one of the memories that I have from my primary.
You've just reminded me of my days in high school with my literature teacher, Madame Nasirobi Goretti, who used to, every time we had class, she made sure that I was the one who is supposed to be reading these novels to every student. So when she realized I'm pursuing a journalism career, she was very happy for me and excited for me. And I think those are some of the memories I remember so much of high school, and more so with the fact that during that time we used to do literature classes under the trees. I don't know if it's still the same kind of environment lately. But that said, Robert, what would be your fourth memory with teachers in school? Or your
I have two, and they are all about punishment. Now, I was in Nakasero Primary School, and we had this teacher called Mr. Seraniko. I don't know if he's still in the teaching profession. Now, there's something that they used to do. Every school by then because it was at Buganda Road. Kampala parents know. At the gate, there were bamboo sticks. Like they would grow bamboo around the gate. Now, your father brings you in late. He drops you at the gate. Your father drives off. Then they cane you using the bamboo for coming late. But very knowingly that in P1, P2, P3, you're not the one who brings yourself to school. But they just want you to tell your father or mother, whatever, whoever drops you, that please wake up early, I was beaten. And it was usually that culture. Every time you're late, you know, you find the gate closed, you have to pass through this small gate. Then Mr. Serwaniko, if he's the teacher on duty, he would cane you with that bamboo. Some, like Madame Namkasa, would sometimes be kind and excuse you. But Serwaniko was never forgiving. He would always cane you. Then the other memory I have is in my O-level, Legacy Secondary School. We had a very interesting teacher called Mr. Fred Chijambu. He was a mathematician. Now, this teacher would hardly cane you, but guess what, Sonko, he would tell you? He would tell you, now, Robert, you're going to get me 10,000 flowers. Can you imagine? 10,000 flowers. Mr. Chijambu, he would rarely cane, but he would find all sorts of punishments. Either he tells you you'll kneel in the quadrangle for this time. He had funny punishments. And most of the times, his method of punishing would be a bit laughable. And you know, so these two teachers, as we are talking about teachers, come to my mind. I can never forget the Serwaniko caning without any mercy, knowing that these are young kids, and Chijambu, who would never cane but find alternative punishments.
All right. And the chances are so high that either Robert was a stubborn person, because if teachers could organize some of these bamboo sticks, I don't know what Chantal has to say about that, but I don't. The only record I had of being caned terribly was within dormitories at times, because I was fond of making so much noise during the after-night preps time. But anyways, it is Thursday and here we are. And I don't know if Chantal ever experienced some beatings by any of her teachers.
Oh yes, I did. Oh. I did experience some beating, but there is one that has a bad memory that I don't want to talk about. I was in primary. I didn't want to talk about that one. But in high school, one time I was supposed to go for a geography paper, and I had been locked. I'd been locked inside the dormitory because I'd gone to pick something. So what I did, I climbed and got out through the window. And that was punishable by the school rules and regulations. And yes, it earned me a good beating that day because I had jumped the window. But then again, I was told to write a statement, and I did not deny. So I wrote the statement, and I mentioned I had no choice but to jump the window because I risked missing a geography paper, yet the only thing I had gone to do was pick something that I needed for the paper. So I spoke my truth, and it earned me a good beating, but yes.
Well, anyways, we all got some beatings.
Punishments were now banned in school.
We all got some punishments in school. But that said, we have some news coming in here on Good Morning Uganda, starting off with the local perspective of things to see what is making headlines within the country. And
we'll begin with President Museveni seeing off Her Excellency, who has been the ambassador of the United Kingdom to Uganda yesterday at State House in Entebbe. Now, President Museveni bid farewell to the outgoing British High Commissioner to Uganda, Her Excellency Kate Perry, at State House in Entebbe. During the meeting, President Museveni and his guest underscored the enduring relationship between Uganda and the United Kingdom, highlighting the strong diplomatic ties and the mutual respect cultivated over the years. President Museveni expressed his gratitude to Her Excellency for her resilience and positive impact she has done on Uganda-UK relations. He emphasized the necessity for the United Kingdom to establish a permanent source of information about Africa to enhance mutual understanding and strengthen bilateral relationships. On her part, Her Excellency thanked President Museveni for his support during her tenure in Uganda. Reflecting on her 4-year in Uganda, praised the country's unique natural beauty and its remarkable biodiversity. Her Excellency committed to continue efforts aimed at strengthening the relationship between the United Kingdom and Uganda, particularly in the military operations and other areas. She concluded by expressing pride in her legacy in Uganda and her determination to continue supporting the partnership between the two countries. Now over to matters of parliament. Members of parliament hailing from northern Uganda have distanced themselves from the boycotting of the parliamentary regional sittings. These were responding to the leader of opposition, Joel Ssenyonyi, who in a press conference on Tuesday termed the regional sittings as a waste of resources. The members of parliament cited how parliament is a people-centered entity and it's their duty to bring it closer to communities. Parliament is to be holding regional sittings across the country, where the first sitting is slated for the 28th to 29th and 30th of this month in Gulu City, northern Uganda. On Tuesday, the leader of opposition, Joel Ssenyonyi, criticized these sittings, saying no consultations were made, yet they are a bit expensive. Members of parliament who come from northern Uganda, led by their chairperson, Acholi Parliamentary Group Anthony Okello, have responded to the leader of opposition. These cite the impact of regional seating that presents an opportunity to get closer to their voters. A section of members of parliament argue that none of these sittings require supplementary budget, thus no need to boycott the initiative. However, the leader of opposition responded, also saying, well, these will consume some money. And finally, from the local scene, the Electoral Commission has provided an update on the implementation of the revised electoral roadmap for the 2025-2026 general elections. The Commission is currently demarcating constituencies and electoral areas and reorganizing polling stations. The Standing Approval Electoral Roadmap for 2025-2026 general elections has strict and timely activities whereby field demarcation of constituency and electoral areas and reorganization of polling stations is slated between the 5th to the 16th of this very month. Display of constituencies, electoral areas and their polling stations at sub-counties and parishes is between 20th September and 11th October. Between the 27th of September and 26th of October, the Commission will be receiving and handling complaints arising from the demarcation of electoral areas and reorganizing of polling stations. The Commission will embark on register and update in each parish and ward in line with Article 61 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, and that will be between the 3rd and the 25th of January 2025. Between the 18th of April 2025 and the 8th of May 2025, the Commission will display National Voters Register at each polling station. Between the 18th of April 2025 and 12th of September 2025, the Electoral Commission will be handling election exercise for special interest groups. Between the 16th and the 17th of September 2025, the Commission will nominate for parliamentary elections. And finally, between the 22nd and the 23rd of December 2025, the Electoral Commission will nominate candidates for presidential elections.
Well, and that does it for our local news this morning. We now dive into what is making headlines away from Uganda with the international news.
We start off with the UK now. Thousands of anti-racism protesters have rallied in cities and towns across England after a week of anti-immigrant rioting and disorder. Gatherings in locations where anti-immigration protests had been expected, including North London, Bristol and Newcastle, were largely peaceful, with counter-protesters chanting "Refugees are welcome here," forming the bulk of the crowds. Police had been braced for further violence, with thousands of officers deployed and more than 100 events anticipated. Rioting was sparked by misinformation online that the suspect in the fatal stabbing of 3 little girls in Southport on 29th July was a Muslim asylum seeker, and mosques and hotels housing asylum seekers were among places targeted during the disorder, with some shops burnt out and looted. On Wednesday, on high streets across England, shop owners had boarded up windows and closed early in anticipation of further violence. Immigration lawyers had been told by police to work from home after lists of solicitors' firms and advice agencies were shared in chat groups as possible targets. But only a handful of arrests were reported during the evening as demonstrations largely passed off peacefully across parts of England. Moving on, organizers have cancelled 3 Taylor Swift concerts in Austria after authorities arrested 2 suspects for allegedly planning a terror attack during the Vienna leg of her blockbuster Eras tour. The decision has left fans devastated and renewed focus on the vulnerability of huge concerts as soft targets for terror networks and spree killers. Swift was scheduled to play 3 shows in the European city from Thursday to Saturday, which have all been cancelled according to Barracuda Music, the promoter for Swift's concerts in Austria. With confirmation from government officials of a planned terrorist attack at Ernst Happel Stadium, we have no choice but to cancel the 3 scheduled shows for everyone's safety, Barracuda Music said yesterday in a post online. Swift's official website also listed the concerts as cancelled. CNN has reached out to Taylor Swift's representatives for a comment. Speaking at a press conference in the capital, police said a 19-year-old Austrian citizen who they identify as a sympathizer of Islamic State was arrested Wednesday morning in Tannitz, Lower Austria, while another arrest was carried out later that morning in Vienna. And lastly, on a sad note, Connie Chiume, a veteran South African actor who appeared in the Marvel film Black Panther, has died at the age of 72, her family has announced. The multi-award-winning actress starred in several South African TV shows, including Rhythm City, Zone 14, and recently Gomorrah. Chiume was a trained teacher but later became a household name on mainstream television. She died at a Johannesburg hospital on Tuesday afternoon. A short family statement said, Chiume's family regrets to inform you of the passing of the internationally acclaimed award-winning actress Connie Chiume, the statement said. The family asked for privacy during this difficult period and said it would communicate further details later. Her son, Nongelo Chiume, told TV broadcaster Newsroom Africa that she was admitted for a medical procedure before her death. Chiume graced South African TV for decades in shows such as Rhythm City, with the country's public broadcaster SABC News describing her as a beacon of hope in their tribute. She rose to prominence as an actress in 1989, where she appeared in the popular South African television series Inkom Edla Yodwa. And that leads us to the end of our international stories this morning.
Well, and of course, looking at the death of Connie there, meaning now the Black Panther cast has also lost another fantastic actress in there, or another person who was right behind the formation of that movie that brought so many African countries together with the Wakanda Forever. And I think with the late, was it, how am I forgetting the name?
Chadwick Boseman.
Chadwick Boseman, yes. When you look at the late Chadwick, for example, his death left so many people really hurt by that kind of situation. Now, the same way with Connie in South Africa, because she has been a fantastic media personality, a fantastic actress. And when you look at, if you just follow back on some of these, of the people who have been sharing their stories following her death, really, you can easily see that the South African entertainment and art industry has probably lost an icon. Now, besides that, let's put our mind onto the other conversations this morning and turn the focus onto the press review to see what the different media platforms from the perspective of print are reporting this morning. Now, kicking it off with the New Vision, which is showing that defiant head teachers and owners put on notice how this proposed teachers' law affects schools. Then also, the National Grid, West Nile prepares for industrialization. as a finance directs on government land use. Then Japan is set to fund Kampala flyover new Karuma Bridge projects. And read about BMK's son ordered to pay Minister Balam 1.4 billion Ugandan shillings. Why is that so? The New Vision. Then 4 Lira Catholic priests have been suspended. Then regional parliament sittings, will nomadism yield any fruits? Asks the New Vision. Then in the Daily Monitor, new 4-step of land titling. They are giving you a breakdown of data collection and surveying, then up to the district land board and physical planning sitting minutes, data processing, then finally issuance of the title. So there are new steps that have been brought forward. Then in the other news, junior police and prison staff up in arms over mega pay rise. Then also government 6 billion shillings to repair Uganda House. That is Uganda House that was burnt during protests in Nairobi. Then read about 2 lawyers in hot soup over 4 billion shillings meant for cooperatives. As in the other stories, shea nut tree uncovering secrets of a precious endangered species. And then in the DM today, matters relationships. 14 years later, we still choose each other. Read about this successful marriage in the Daily Monitor. Now off to Kenya with the Daily Nation. Intrigues in rejection of CS nominee. Then Ndongo Kundu bypass opens up the south coast for business. Read about that. The new road will reduce travel time and comes as a big relief for local residents and visitors. Then the Daily Nation highlights no reprieve as state admits fuel levy hike wiped away price drop at the pump. Then Ruto and Raila, the Ruto and Raila deal faces litmus test. And also in the US elections, Harris and Walz campaigning together for first time. Then talent drain, Kenyan-born stars who are chasing Olympic glory for adopted nations. There is Winfred Yavi of Bahrain, there is Nora Jeruto of Kazakhstan, and then also Lona Chemtai Salpate of Team Israel, all of Kenyan origin, but now having citizenships elsewhere. Then lastly, from our press review is The Citizen. It was a day of horror and fear. 6-year-old Malik Hashim narrowly escaped death after a housemate slit his throat and left him for dead. Now in recovery after surgery, his mother shares the harrowing ordeal, recounting the events that unfolded before and after this brutal attack. Then also in the supplement, Farmers' Day, Ministry's efforts to maximize agriculture opportunities. Then read about how sugar price hikes have given Samia sleepless nights. Then there is UK unrest. Tanzania calls for citizen safety, especially for the citizens of Tanzania in the UK. Now, 495 billion shillings projects to address water crisis. More of that is in The Citizen this very morning. And well, that does it for our press review this morning, plus the local and international news. When we do return after the break, we shall be having a conversation on the National Teachers Bill 2024. But that said, again, allow me to wish a happy birthday to Lauren Kazimoto. That is Lauren Sika Kazimoto. That is the picture of our news anchor here on UBC, who is celebrating her new age today. So we wish her a happy birthday on this fruitful day of the 8th of August, and many more earthly returns in the same. A Throwback Thursday, and it being a Throwback Thursday, when we mention throwbacks, we can't go away without mentioning names like Jennifer Lopez, who is still rocking even in this Gen Z era. Now, she has a song titled Love Don't Cost a Thing, which is taking us into our inspirational song on this Throwback Thursday. And when we do return, conversations around the National Teachers Bill. Good morning. That really rocked our earlier days on this particular planet of Earth. Let me check on the team and see how they're doing. Again, today, Olive Monica Najuma is not with us, but hopefully she will be back with us tomorrow. In the team, Uncle Bob is here. Robert Chirabo Nyonyi Ntono, that name was supposed to be pronounced on Friday. My apologies to Robert Chirabo Nyonyi Ntono, who is with me in Studio A. But in Studio B, I have Chantal Olive Akandinda, who I will definitely go in and check on her to see how she's doing. Good morning, Chantal.
Good morning, Sonko.
Good morning, good morning. How are you doing? Well, my energy on a Thursday is just getting up, but I want to believe by midday it will be at 100%. How is yours?
You and me both. I just want to to our DJ Mpima, we appreciate
the producer.
The Thursday throwbacks we appreciate, because that was great music.
You know, and
DJs have those unique names. Now he plays all these and is DJ Mpima. So the name matches exactly the music.
The music being played.
Okay. Robert, don't add many things that will...
No, I was just making a journalistic observation.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just making a journalistic observation.
You were being very critical with your words. And well, of course, we all love the choice of words that Chantal Oliver Kanida has chosen to use this morning. Chantal, let's get into, you know, a throwback. What is happening in the education sector is that new developments are revealing that if a teacher does not have a degree, the chances are so high they are no longer going to be having a job. But that is a conversation we're going to be having for our newsreel. Right. Speaking of the throwback, what is that memory of yours with your teachers, whether in primary or in high school, that you still remember up to date, or a memory that you still share from your days at school?
Well, I had quite a number of them. Just so you know, at one point, it wasn't for so long, but at one point, I was among the kids that went to school without shoes. That was in primary.
Oh. And what had happened?
But way before. That is one of the memories that I have. But also, the other memory that I have was that I was always this kid that loved to write. And every now and then I would write poems and then take to my English teacher. I was a favorite to all my English teachers, all the way from primary up to high school. I was a favorite of my English teachers and literature, and I always wrote poems and then took to them and always got, you know, the teacher gives you a ruler, and if you're in primary and they give you a ruler, a beautiful ruler in purple color, usually the other rulers were like white, all transparent. Me, I got myself a purple one from, she's called Teacher Esther at City Parents. She got for me because I had written a very beautiful poem. So that is one of the memories that I have from my primary.
You've just reminded me of my days in high school with my literature teacher, Madame Nasirobi Goretti, who used to, every time we had class, she made sure that I was the one who is supposed to be reading these novels to every student. So when she realized I'm pursuing a journalism career, she was very happy for me and excited for me. And I think those are some of the memories I remember so much of high school, and more so with the fact that during that time we used to do literature classes under the trees. I don't know if it's still the same kind of environment lately. But that said, Robert, what would be your fourth memory with teachers in school? Or your
I have two, and they are all about punishment. Now, I was in Nakasero Primary School, and we had this teacher called Mr. Serwaniko. I don't know if he's still in the teaching profession. Now, there's something that they used to do every school by then, because it was at Uganda Road. Kampala parents know, at the gate there were bamboo sticks. Like they would grow bamboo around the gate. Now your father brings you in late, he drops you at the gate, your father drives off, then they cane you using the bamboo for coming late. But very knowingly that in P1, P2, P3, you're not the one who brings yourself to school, but they just want you to tell your father or mother, whatever, whoever drops you, that please wake up early, I was beaten. And it was usually that culture. Every time you're late, you know, you find the gate closed, you have to pass through this small gate. Then Mr. Serwaniko, if he's the teacher on duty, he would cane you with that bamboo. Some, like Madame Namkasa, would sometimes be kind and excuse you. But Serwaniko was never forgiving. He would always cane you. Then the other memory I have is in my O-level, Legacy Secondary School. We had a very interesting teacher called Mr. Fred Chijambu. He was a math.
Good morning, and thank you very much for sticking around to Good Morning Uganda. Now we are off to our newsreel conversations here on Good Morning Uganda, a conversation that you, our viewer, are entirely part of. Now, today we are going to be taking our conversations to the teaching profession in the country, because there is a proposed bill that seeks to check out on the teachers' qualifications, absenteeism, and how they operate, or their level of professionalism. And that is a conversation that is opening up our discussion this morning, the National Teachers Bill 2024. How is it likely to impact on the teaching profession? Will it affect in any way, or will it have impacts of positive change within the teaching profession? Now, at the backdrop of our newsreel this morning, we take you to, we drive your attention to the Minister of State for Higher Education, John Chrysostom Muyingo, who tabled before Parliament the National Teachers Bill 2024, which is seeking to also establish the National Teachers Council that will be charged with the regulation of teaching profession, registration, licensing, and disciplinary procedures for the teachers. One may wonder, is it time for us to have this in time? Or is it rather time for us to have this in place? Or did it come at the right time? Or was it delayed and we needed it? I have Robert Chirabonyonyi with me in Studio A and Chantal Oliver Kandinda in Studio B to open up this conversation this morning. I'll quickly turn my eyes and attention to Robert Chirabonyonyi this morning. Robert, before we even went on air, you had your issues regarding this very bill. Let's get into your thoughts of the National Teachers Bill 2024.
Well, in the Bible, there's a scripture that says, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Now, and I remember these were the words of His Excellency one day at an NRM, I think it was a National Delegates Conference held in Nambole. He said, "It is very bad for you to be everywhere, yet nowhere." And the Englishman has a saying, says, "Busy bees." Now, these three explain what I'm going to say. You see, in the education sector, we seem to be handling a number of things and failing to perfect any. Today you're having teachers, tomorrow you're having the new curriculum, the next day you're having this, you're having that. We are chewing so much than we can swallow, I must say. And these are good initiatives on paper. But when you go to practicability, implementation is where we fail. Now, I began with "the truth shall set you free." What is the problem of Uganda's education system? What is the problem? Have we done a proper analysis? Have we done research to ascertain? Because if this means improving the quality of education, what is it that is failing that country, this country, to attain that level, both of what we bring out and who is teaching? What is failing? Now, when I look at this proposed bill, because stakeholders are going to come and poke holes and have this discussion, is it addressing the core issues in our education system that are hindering performance? For example, when every teacher must have a bachelor's degree to teach, and I want to tell you, my brother Sonko, that government of Uganda phased out TTCs, teacher training colleges. Now, recently, I had a friend of mine who wanted to do a bachelor's in primary education. And she came back and told me she moved to all universities, and the universities were telling her, "We cannot have a bachelor's in primary education because the National Curriculum Development Center, higher education, has not provided a policy for us to teach at that level. So you can't have a degree. There is no university that now has the capacity, has that program by the National Higher Council for Education to teach you to become a primary teacher with a bachelor's." Now, that is one of the issues this is looking at. I think for me, when I look at Uganda's education system, what we are lacking to begin with is the funds going to the education sector. I don't know if you watched a story in Toroko district. Yesterday, it was very touching. Teachers sleeping, fearing crocodiles. Other one confessing how he's fighting snakes throughout the night. The headmaster's office being again at the back side of it. It's a house full. So, we lack money into the education sector. And away from money, we lack monitoring and supervision. The very teachers we are talking about in terms of qualifications are the same teachers teaching in private schools, and they are excelling because they have, one, the supervision is at its top. Two, their pay is relatively fair. And three, at such a time when you are bringing this bill, we are having issues that how many teachers, unless government is going to bring up a special fund to help these teachers go back and upgrade. But as of now, I think we should put efforts at how best we can monitor, we can supervise these government entities in terms of education than seemingly some of the things that we've tried. Now you tell me after 4 years, the National Teachers Council will look through the teaching license of the teachers. Today, how many line up there just to get a practicing license?
Let me get to Chantal real quick. Chantal, when you look at the bill now, let's look at it from the professional perspective of things. How is it likely to affect the teaching profession today when you look at some of these things and some of the provisions that have been tabled before Parliament?
Well, according to the State Minister for Higher Education, that is John Chrysostom Muyingo, he says that this law will address challenges facing teachers in the country, but also it's going to be addressing issues in general. And in this case, the issues I'm talking about in general, we are looking at things like professionalism. We are looking at ethical standards. We are looking at maintaining and protecting the profession at large, and I believe it is coming from a good place, and I would say it is on the basis of we've seen teachers misbehaving. We have seen some of them. We have seen some being unethical, some being unprofessional, and we have seen also the reasons that lead to all that. So at the end of the day, this is coming from a good place. It can streamline some elements in the education system or the education sector. The question would be: is it the most timely case at the moment for us to take on this bill? That would be the question.
And Robert, Chantal asked a very sensitive question now. That is it the right time for us to be taking on this bill? This is where most of the headlines were writing, no degree, no bill, which has opened up huge conversations that many people, because many of the teachers today are being encouraged to go and upgrade, get these degrees, get the bachelors. Before we even dive into that, Robert. And we previously had a conversation of the same, that maybe our education sector is also highly looked at as unprofessional simply because of the qualifications or the qualification levels of some of our teachers. Now let's drive this conversation onto the degree matter and the aspect of if a teacher doesn't have a degree, you're not stepping in class.
Well, first, when you add on the information you have, human value addition is when you upgrade to another level. No doubt, that is very good. That is very good. Every sensible human being with the ability would love to upgrade. But let's look at currently what our education sector is and what are the pertinent biting issues. You're having an education sector where the teacher-pupil ratio is still very poor. You're not anywhere to the recommended levels. What am I saying? That you're having huge classrooms and very few teachers. So these teachers, even if they are degree holders, a classroom of 150. Yesterday I was watching a story in Wakiso district where they have begun the students count. And the district education officer there, I think is Chiyinji something. The name has skipped my mind, but at least I know Dewo Chiyinji or something like that. He said, in a school where they expected to have about 600, it's having 1,500 and above. Now, is a degree teacher, by virtue of having a degree, going to be able to teach a class of 200 and they pass? That is one. Two, we are talking at a time when we are having teachers going in for early retirement. Now, there was one of the school where the headmaster was saying that he's been having a few teachers and some have applied to become headmasters and they have gone through. How often are you recruiting? 3, our education system with the meager salary, with the humble salary that these teachers are getting. How is someone going to go for a degree? Because I want to tell you, many degree holders that are teachers, not in the teaching profession. Once someone attains this degree, they're doing something else because they have a degree.
But why is that so?
Because the teaching profession, its humble salary may not attract so much someone who is having a degree to remain practicing in a government school. Maybe the good thing is because someone will say I'm permanent and maybe pensionable. Another issue here, let me tell you, we have to look at the history of this country and how we got to where we are. I don't know when you were in school, but in our days, and people who have lived longer, like us who are approaching their 40s, one of the things that was, how did these people get to the teaching profession? So, these are facts, and I'll face the camera and speak them. In those days, a person would go to teaching. It was called TTC, teacher training colleges. That was the term we used to use. It may sound funny, but this was the reality. I'll end there. Now, these bright students, sometimes who would not have money to proceed and have not made, would branch over to teacher training colleges. And because they knew of their qualifications, maybe they would even believe within this humble salary. Now, I want to tell you, the education, a person attaining a degree on government, there may be few, because they will take basic science teachers. So the arts will have to pay for this. And after that investment, because I've seen some argue that because they have not been having degrees or anything at that particular level, so the voice for them to have better pay has not been looked at so much as a profession.
Well, partly you could say it could be the reason as to why something like that is happening. But there's a report in 2022 that cited we have about over 360,000 teachers in the country, and of those we have 126,000. Those are grade 3 teachers, and then we have 65,000 who are diploma holders. Of all those. Now, please do note that in some of the remote areas, one of the reasons cited for failure of the national examinations, it has been attributed, among many reasons, to absenteeism of the teachers, to even the qualification of these teachers. And I believe this is the issue that the ministry is trying to address, the professionalism, the ethical code of conduct of the teachers. And lastly, how are these teachers very qualified to be able to teach in primary schools, to be able to teach in secondary schools? I believe that is important when it comes to how our education sector fares. And
Tim, quickly, let's also look into some of the other provisions here, because there is a provision that speaks of regulation of the ethical standards. Now, some of the ethical standards in here reveal that the National Teachers Council will be promoting and maintaining ethical standards in the teaching profession. Now, that is not the tricky one, but one which is opening room for conversation again is the continuous professional development. Remember, we are having a new curriculum that has been enrolled, and this particular one ensures that the teachers are up to date with the current education trends. Robert, what will be your take on that? Because I want to believe this is for a good cause now.
No doubt. No doubt. This bill, I want to repeat, this proposed bill, I want to repeat, it's very good on paper. But practicability and implementation is where we are going to find a problem. And two, the biggest question is it addressing the pertinent issues in the education sector? Or are we ignoring the pertinent issues in the education sector? Now, you're talking about continuous career development. I said that is very good. Value addition on a human being is very, very important in this day and age. And we need our teachers to be up to date. You know, we need our teachers to understand, to be the best we can have in our classroom. But I'm telling you, all of these resources that are going to go to pay members in the National Teachers Council, because you're going to have the executive director, you're going to have this, you're going to have these funds. What if we boost two areas here? All this that we are looking at. The teachers we are talking about today are the same teachers doing miracles in the private sector. I want to tell you, I know schools of members of parliament in remote areas performing extraordinary, and they're not having the degree teachers. The same teachers you're having in universal primary education, the same levels. Here it is supervision. It is provision of incentives. It is morale boosting. I know schools where a teacher, if your subject performs, some have gone to levels of even giving a car to the best done subject or something like that. You know, they are motivated. Let me tell you, integrity has nothing to do with qualification when we talk about ethics. Today, we are talking about the inspectorate of schools. Go to Wakiso, one of the districts with so many schools. How many district inspectors do you have? We have operations here where they discover school has been running without a license for 5 years. So how are we going to implement what we are putting in table? And we are again opening another can of worms or Pandora's box and leaving the actual issues at hand here.
Shanda, let's get into this continuous development talk now. Because you get to realize, I want to open this conversation up to our dear viewer to also share their thoughts on the same. But when it comes to the continuous development, let's take it to the teacher's perspective. How important is this for them? Because as much as we're speaking from the point of the pay at times does not really favor them or make someone yearn to join the education sector. But let's look into the aspect of continuous development. Why is it important for a teacher per se to continuously grow in their career or to upgrade from their level of qualification?
Sanko, when you look at especially when you go to the remote areas of this country and you look at some of these teachers, the teacher could be good at mathematics, for example. Now, mathematics, you have the formulas that you follow, you have the syllabus that you follow, right? But then again, we are dealing with generations that are changing every now and then. And some of these things are not changing. So that means that the very first thing it's going to help this teacher do, one, is understand the dynamics of the current generation or the current state that we are dealing with. How do you handle, have you seen teachers that are very good at teaching science, mathematics, or chemistry or whatever, but they are so terrible at handling students and individuals? Best believe, even if that teacher is so good, a good percentage of their class is going to fail. And do you know why? Because this teacher has failed to work pretty well with these students, but the teacher has content. So the reason as to why this development is important, one, it is going to help this teacher keep up to date on how to handle these students and how to deal with them. How best can they teach these students? How best can they explain that chemistry periodic table for even the slowest of students in class to understand? But that is going to have to take someone who understands that, listen, these days, these kids apparently know their rights. These kids behave like this. When this kid does this, this is what you should do. it doesn't hurt for someone to add a degree to themselves, much as it might earn you a bigger position or even a bigger salary. It is also going to earn you a certain set of character development and professional development that is going to enable you to teach your students better, because at the end of the day, it doesn't make sense for you to know all the formula and how to apply it, but very few of your students can even get it. That is one of the things I can think about. It is going to help in personal development, but also it is going to help when it comes to being up to date with the students you're dealing with, the kind of industry you're dealing with. The environments are changing. Back then, the environments these kids were dealing with are not what they're dealing with right now. And it's as if it's as if it has been cast in stone that for you to be a teacher, just know how to teach English, just know how to teach literature, and that is it. But a lot of factors put together are the ones that enable these teachers to have very well performing students. I want to believe that the reason as to why the Ministry of Education is bringing out some of these issues, it's because we are trying to tackle the problem of failure of students and the reductions that we have seen, or the variations that we have seen in performance. And guess what? It goes just beyond going to class and delivering on the periodic table or delivering on Said or History 3.
And then also to the teacher's side, with this particular bill, the bill also seeks to introduce phasing out of director positions. Now, the bill is in response to the cabinet decision to phase out the director positions in the ministries, which was affecting teacher registration and licensing. So they want to make the registration and licensing easier, and something that the teachers don't need to worry about. But Robert, I've had many of your concerns in regards to the bill. And what do you think should be the things we should do to address some of these concerns?
Well, first, Chantal talked about personal development. I want to be honest with the teachers. This is going to open better opportunities for you.
Okay.
Yes, the dynamics are changing, fine, because now we have e-learning. Previously, a teacher who taught me, they're still in the teaching profession, you need to up your game to know how to use a computer, to know how to teach online, and of course, move with the current trends. Today, the new curriculum, also, the children are exposed so much, and as a teacher, you must be matching to the challenges. But going back to what should be done, first and foremost, I must say this bill is very good. My only question is the content, some of the clauses in it, are they the magic bullet to our education system, the transformation, the change we are talking about?
Okay.
When we were talking about the new lower curriculum, we said once our students master this, even if someone dropped out of school before senior 4, they'll be able to do something. So this was what we are talking about now. This is going to be the first year that we are looking at this new lower secondary curriculum. Are the products of it going to phase out that issue that a person studies from P1 to P7, then senior 4, and later I cannot do anything? That is what we are talking about when it comes to this bill. Okay. Is it going to address those core issues? I think some of the clauses, we need to go slow on them.
Okay.
And ascertain and carry out research. What is the practicability? If you're phasing out a teacher and saying for you to be in a classroom, you must have a degree, what is the period you're giving
this person to upgrade?
These teachers to upgrade. What are the resources you're providing or methods through which this teacher can upgrade? Then finally, how do we improve monitoring, supervision, and give the teachers incentives needed for them to perform?
Chantal, I'll be getting to you in a minute for you to give me your parting submissions, but I'll be reading 3 comments from our viewers this morning. One says lots of challenges ahead for the teachers, which can force someone to run into early retirement. Substandard structures, all cause of low morale, no vote for special needs of education officers. How can they supervise? Yet we say we are towards inclusive education. This is Birawa Nora, special needs education teacher. Thank you very much, Nora. Very sensitive comment there, and quite important as well. Then Wanyela Evans says, good morning UBC GMU from Rakaka. Teaching is a noble career with little pay. When will teachers of this country receive equal pay for equal work done? When will they also live a noble life like the rest of other people in other careers? And then this one says, the magic bullet to make sense of socio-economic development in Uganda is to suspend the policy of privatization in the sectors of education, health and agriculture, like it is in security. Otherwise, all those proposals or laws is just mere flocking of the, oh, there's a hash word at the end of it. Chantal, in a minute, your parting submission.
My parting shot would be that the teacher is one of the most important pillars when it comes to building a nation. Because listen, every MP, every minister, even the president went through the hands of a teacher. So if we can work on these teachers and empower them and push them to aim for higher and do better, then we are actually building the nation in one way or another. Now, for those that usually cannot get a chance, for example, to go past a certain level, say Form 6 or Form 4, we have technical vocational education and training institutions in Uganda, and they are doing really well, and the uptake has also been very good. We are out of the edge where people used to drop off at senior 4 to go and join teaching because they failed a certain subject, they can concentrate on one and go and teach. No, we are changing things.
Okay, and that does it for our newsreel this morning. I've been with Robert Chirabo Nyonyinton and Chantal Oliver Cannon down in Studio B as we were having conversations around the National Teachers Bill for 2024. This particular one also ensures or is seeking to have a national committee or teachers council that will regulate and also license the teachers who are within our education sector. Coming up is the GMU Tourism Express. Irene Allen Namisango is right here waiting to give you more from the world of tourism. For now, stick around to Good Morning Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, Kingdoms of Mountain Rwenzori segment. What are the dynamics of the peoples occupying the foothills of the famous mountains of the moon? What brings them together?
One way of identifying ourselves would be the Rwenzori Mountain,
where the God happy dwells.
In Uganda, we are called Bakonjo, Bakonzo, Baira. In Congo, we are called Banande.
Ababuisa barukiro wingi, na abamba barukiro wingi, bali mu Congo.
The Basongora community is a very old community here, Western Uganda and Eastern Congo.
So both Kasese, Toro were part of Bunyoro Kitara Kingdom.
We are similar people.
We are one. Use that word, pamoja.
It will be showing in Nibundubugyo at Anders Hotel on Friday 16th August and Kasese at Uhuru Plus Hotel on Saturday 17th August 2024, starting at 4:30 p.m. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko pamoja?
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model, PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. But what you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Thank you so much for keeping it. Good morning, Uganda. It is a beautiful Thursday morning, and we are still diving deeper into the online media platforms. We are still talking more about the digital space. How is it transforming the tourism sector? When you look at how the trends are really moving, you see that the digital space is really taking up almost every sector in the country. And at the GME Tourism Express, we are giving you all the details or all the information that you would need to know if you're someone who needs to understand how the digital space is really transforming the tourism space. And my name is Erin Alenamisang, and today I'm with a guest in the studio, and she goes by the names of Olivia Nakalembe. And today we are going to talk about the emergence of the new online media. Now, there has been a rapid growth of the new online media. Talk about, okay, there are so many, like I cannot mention other names, but there has been a growth in the new online media. And I should say that it has really reshaped the way we consume news, the way we consume information, and there has been some competition between the traditional media and also the online media, and those are some of the challenges that really come in when something new comes up or emerges up. But today we are going to understand a little bit deeper the importance, the benefits, the challenges, and maybe the new trends. Olivia, we are very glad to have you here.
Thank you so much, Alan. I'm
morning?
doing amazing. The morning is so beautiful. And I mean, every single time we are out here, we are about adding a building block on Uganda's tourism sector. So I'm definitely pleased to be here in studio with you.
That is nice. Olivia, as the communications manager of Karibu Travel Magazine,
Yes.
it is a new online media
True.
that is covering tourism and conservation. We need to understand, Olivia, how has the emergence of this new online media reshaped or transformed the way we consume news and information?
I think we first of all need to understand what is new media.
Yeah.
And in simple terms, we could go about so many definitions, but in simple terms, it all gears down to digitalization.
True.
So with the coming of the internet, new media became one of the most disruptive solutions in terms of consuming media content. And of course, it holds grip around the 2000s, you know, where we had, you know, cable TVs switching to online media. And so it definitely comes with a couple of advantages, but also some disadvantages and threats also hidden in there, because, you know, with the coming of digitalization, the analog setting was kind of threatened, and, you know, the globe was thinking about, okay, where do we place this?
Yeah.
How do we deal with this? But also, how best can we go about, you know, this disruptive media? Everything that was moving in a straight line now has taken a turn.
Yeah.
And at this material time, people are thinking on ways, on opportunities, on how to harness the advantages that come through with digitalization. So in brief, that is what new media is all about. It comes, you know, in a couple of, you know, forms. But right now, in terms of Uganda's tourism industry, one of the biggest forms of new media is social media.
Yeah.
Of course, if we are to talk about forms, there's AI, there's the gaming, there's websites, but right now we are talking about social media for the benefit of Uganda's tourism industry. But if I could just paint a picture, globally, we have about 5 billion internet users. Now remember, digitalization largely thrives on the use of internet. So if the globe has about 5 billion internet users, which accounts for about 67% of the world's population, it means the 30-something,
now,
you know, is
Olivia,
a bit negligible.
That is where we need to understand.
Yes.
Now that the world has more than 5 billion consumers of the internet, how
Yes.
has this new media changed or reshaped how people consume?
Now, gone are the days where, gone are the analog days where you'd have to wait for the so-called credible sources of news, you know, for you to be able to consume media content.
Waiting for the 7 p.m.
Thank you so
news.
much. Right now, we do have new media that has set the pace. It is timely.
Instant.
And if we are to go back even to media studies, some of the characteristics of news, and the reason as to why it's called news, it has to be new.
Yeah.
So every new trend is on social media.
True.
Is being given to us digitally.
Olivia, what? Okay, I want to cut you short.
It's well, no worries.
What are the benefits of this new online media?
It means we are able to consume news or media content right on time. Why do I have to wait for, say, 7 p.m. to be able to know what actually took place in the morning? If we are now to transform this particular benefit, say for Uganda's tourism industry, if there is a trend that is actually making money, because if you're to look at the forex rates, they rise and fall.
Yeah.
It means if you're able to get this information on time, you will be able to channel your business and earn right on time.
That is true.
So, but also, we are able to know what is going on around us. It's very bad to live in a situation under ignorance.
True.
Because you do not know what to do. You do not know what decisions to take, timely decisions to take. So that is one of the things that this disruptive new media has come along with. One, we are able to know, so ignorance is definitely kicked out, but also you are able to creatively enjoy this information. For example, if we are to go to one of the components of new media, that is AI.
Yeah.
It makes work easy, but also it takes you to places cheaply than you'd actually have rather spent. For example, we do have virtual games or virtual reality. Alan, we can be right here and I could be able to take a trip to Makishon Falls National Park. I don't have to go there. I just have to be here right in the comfort of the UBC studios. And
Olivia, for AI, I would also want us to take this in point that remember, AI generates information from the already uploaded content, the authentic content that people used to upload. Now you find that sometimes it can even give you information that is not authentic.
Now, and that is where we actually talk about coexistence between new media and what we have always termed as traditional media.
Yeah.
For example, we know that journalists give us, for example, right here at UBC television, there's a reason as to why some people would see an update on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, but then have to wait for a balance. You know, what is UBC confirming to me at 7 p.m., at 7 a.m., at 1 p.m.? Are they actually confirming? So once this news is stamped, it means there is a co-balance. So that is why we also always advocate for a media mix. When you send out a journalist, say for example, to Makishon Falls National Park to cover something, we know for sure they are authentic. And at that time, if that journalist from UBC can give us a timely update on social media, whilst we wait for the, say, 7 p.m. news, there's a media balance and there's an advantage on either side.
But now,
but at the end of the day also, it comes in cheaply, because imagine, Alan, you send out a journalist to Makishon Falls National Park to, you know, report about the increase in the number of lions, you know, in Uganda's, I think it's the second largest protected area after Upe, right? You'd, once that information is conveyed to us, you don't need to send, by the UBC journalists, you don't need to send out 10 more journalists down there.
Because of time, this conversation is interesting, but because the examples you're giving me are then now traditional media. Yet
it is a media mix. It's a media mix, because remember what has fronted this particular one. The first update I'm getting, remember, is from new media, and that's why I said it's disruptive. By the time you come to convey this information to me at 7 p.m., it means new media was the first to deliver this information right in the morning. So that's why we advocate for a media mix, so that traditional media is not kicked out. It gives us the authenticity. However, new media has broken the jinx of fast information.
I would mostly need to understand, why would I go for Karibu Travel Magazine and leave out maybe another traditional media house? Because this is emerging up, Karibu Travel Magazine, or maybe Uganda Uncovered, any of the new medias that are covering tourism. Why would I go for this? Just in a minute.
One of the reasons is new media does not wait. the world keeps changing, the world keeps revolving at a very terrific rate.
Yes.
You do not want to be left behind. I give you an example of, forex rates that keep, like dropping, increasing. Once I know that, say for example, the shilling or the dollar, let's take an example of the dollar. The dollar will be trending at this particular rate. It is important that I update whoever is visiting my website to get the monies. It means you, who is using traditional media only, will be left out.
Olivia.
So in terms of earning, me who is who is using new media will have earned more than you who is, and that is the same mechanism or the same marketing technique that Karibu Travel Magazine uses.
Yeah, I want to cut you short still. Because of time, I'm going to cut this conversation. But just one last one in 1 minute.
Yes.
How can you monetize your new online media in case someone is wishing to start up something like that, already has this online platform and they're giving out information? How can one monetize it?
Monetization is usually about the numbers.
Yeah.
Once you have been consistent, the numbers will come in. I'll give you an example of TikTok, say for example. You'll not monetize this account before it reaches a particular number of, say, visitors to your to the people that check out your content. Be consistent, the numbers will come through, and then you'll be able to monetize. We have so many companies around that are actually doing monetization, even of social media platforms. It could be Facebook, Instagram, it could even be Twitter. People are actually earning each single day that goes by. So once you have the consistency and you have the numbers coming through and you have content that is actually appealing to that particular market, you have it.
Oh, well, Olivia, that is it that I heard from you today. It is unfortunate that I would really want to go on with this conversation. I know even the viewer would really want to still go on with the conversation. But because of time, we are going to cut this conversation. But I'm very sure that we are going to take it to social media on our X account.
We're taking it to new media.
Yeah, we are taking it to new media.
Yes.
So you'll be following up with the conversation to see how we need to understand how is it even important that we collaborate with the traditional media? Why shouldn't we see it as competition? That maybe there is new media and then the traditional media. We need to see that we collaborate. We need to know the challenges, what challenges that come with creating or coming up with new media, and which support do we need from the government, the public sector, and also the viewers. Maybe you can give us recommendations, or you give us reviews to tell us where to improve, or to tell people where to improve. Well, it is an interesting conversation, and please, as a viewer or as the audience that these online media are targeting, please make sure that you support them. If you find a story that is interesting, maybe about Murchison Falls National Park, maybe if you find a story that is reporting about maybe the launch of the Uganda and Kenya Coast Expo, something like that. If you find a story like that, please make sure you share, give them reviews, comment, to see that you push it, and also that the information moves to a wider audience. The more you reshare, the more you like or comment, you're pushing this information to a wider audience. And together, we shall put building blocks to the tourism sector and push it to further heights. That is it that we had for you today in the GMU Tourism Express. My name is still Irene Allen Namisang, and Joram Paul is taking you through the GMU Business Update.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, Kingdoms of Mountain Rwenzori segment. What are the dynamics of the peoples occupying the foothills of the famous mountains of the moon? What brings them together?
One way of identifying ourselves would be the Rwenzori Mountain,
where the god happy dwells. In Uganda, we are called Bakonjo, Bakonzo, Baira. In Congo, we are called Banande.
Ababuisa barukiro wingi. Na abamba barukiro wingi. Bali mu Congo.
The Basongora community is a very old community here, Western Uganda and Eastern Congo.
So both Kasese, Toro, were part of Nyoro Kitara Kingdom.
We are similar people.
We are one. Use that word, pamoja.
It will be showing in Nibundubugyo at Anders Hotel on Friday 16th August and Kasese at Uhuru Plus Hotel on Saturday 17th August 2024, starting at 4:30 p.m. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko pamoja?
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning again, and thank you very much for sticking to Good Morning Uganda. It's now time for business. We are taking our conversations first, or our attention to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which presented a supplementary budget of 6 billion shillings for the restoration of the recently vandalized Uganda House in Kenya during the March to Parliament protests of the Gen Zs in Kenya, or what you could call the hashtag Reject the Finance Bill 2024. Now, while presenting to the Parliamentary Committee of Foreign Affairs, the Line Minister, JJ Odong, presented a fire incident preliminary report that showed extensive damage of property, but with no serious damages or injuries identified or reported during the burning of the Uganda House during those protests in Kenya. Now, however, a section of members of Parliament on the committee criticized this report that was presented by General JJ Odong. And then these properties said to have been destroyed on the 25th of June during the infamous protests in Nairobi. And on Wednesday, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, JJ Odong, presented this supplementary budget to the committee. Initially, the construction of the Uganda House was allocated about 27 billion Ugandan shillings, out of which only 24 billion shillings was spent. So when you look at why the committee is pretty much scrutinizing the entire thing, is because of the previous expenditure. Now, the members of the committee also tasked the minister to account for the expenditure, but also justify the need for the additional 6 billion Ugandan shillings, because they are yet to account for the 27 billion Ugandan shillings that was disbursed initially. Now, a section of the members of parliament have also criticized the preliminary report, saying that the investigations were done by a private company, and it's further raising trust issues. And with a country like ours of so many trust issues, best believe this was something that was bound to happen. And also the committee asked the ministry to present the security forms for the building, and also on top of it, renovation details and the renovation contracts and certificates to help in decision making before the 6 billion is awarded to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Now, away from that, we head to Bwaise Market, because over 350 traders in Bwaise, that is in Kawempe division, or those who are trading their plight at the Bwaise Market, face eviction after Rexbar Company leased the market land to Haruna Kato for the next 66 years. Now, the traders accused Kato of using police and panga-wielding men to harass and damage their property in an attempt to forcefully evict them off the Bwaise market land. Now, the State Minister for Lands, Dr. Sam Mayanja, has been petitioned to settle these land disputes because it does seem like many people are going to be displaced with this eviction, and on top of it, losses of businesses are likely to be counted. And Becca Nsubuga, the market secretary, narrated to the State Minister for Lands, Dr. Sam Mayanja, that Rexbar was given a 99-year lease by the Buganda Land Board, but then sold the market to Haruna Kato for about 600 million Ugandan shillings. Now, the traders accused the Kampala City Council Authority, the Minister of Kampala, and then also the Division Police Commander, DPC, that is of Kawempe Division, and then RCC Amina Lukanga and the Deputy RCC Ndide of supporting these eviction efforts, and which are likely to leave many of them counting losses and back to zero. Now, also the traders called on President Museveni to purchase the land for them so that they can later develop it. The presidential advisors, Fiona Balungi and Hilary Chisanja, also reassured the traders that they should not be evicted, since the president is one of the people supporting them to stay on the land. Now, lastly, from business, we talk matters Uganda and Kenya tourism, because the third edition of the Uganda-Kenya Coast Tourism Farm Trips, as well as the executions, is selected for November and December of this very year. The unorganized event by the Consulate General of the Republic of Uganda in Mombasa, and the partners from the public and the private sector from both countries, Uganda and Kenya, is aimed at promoting complementarity between Uganda and Kenya, and giving no room for competition, but rather room for support. And the third of the Uganda-Kenya Coast Tourism Conference is likely to attract quite a number of players, not only domestic tourism operators in Uganda, but also private sector players as well from the tourism industry at the coast of Mombasa. Now, the concept behind the Uganda-Kenya Coast Partnership is to promote complementarity between tourism products that Uganda offers and the tourism products that are on offer by the Kenyan tourism industry. Now, whereas Uganda has products like the mountain gorillas, they do have chimpanzees, you look at religious tourism and culture tourism. On the other side of things, there is also the Kampala nightlife, which Irene Alinamisango continuously promotes here. Now, Kenya has the marine tourism, beautiful beaches, and also some of those historical sites at the coast of Mombasa. So it's a chance for many of the players to complement one another and try to build partnerships and networks that will be supportive for the tourism industry of Uganda and Kenya. Now, the expected outcomes of the events include increased tourist travels and investments in tourism, and then also joint tourism packages and increased traffic on the Entebbe-Mombasa route, which is operated by the Uganda Airlines. Well, more developments of the same will be coming up along the month as the preparations gear up, November to December. Lastly, from our business news this morning, we look at the forex market to see how different currencies were faring on the exchange. This is courtesy of the central bank. How will you find these different currencies? Now, by opening time yesterday morning, the US dollar was buying at 3,721.50 shillings, while selling at 3,731.50 shillings. By midday, the US dollar was buying at 3,722.36, while selling at 3,732.36. Closing time, so the US dollar buy 3,724.09 shillings, while selling was at 3,734.09 shillings. And the Great Britain pound was buying at 4,731.08, while selling at 4,743.78. The euro was buying at 4,062.98, while selling at 4,073.89. Now, to the Kenyan shilling, it was buying at 28.64, while selling at 28.72 shillings. The Tanzanian shilling, still the same till since Monday, was buying at 137 and closed it selling at 1.38. As the South African rand was buying at 202.51, while closing it selling at 203.05 Ugandan shillings. Now, these exchange rates are updated 3 times daily. That's from Monday to Friday. Figures courtesy of the central bank. Well, right away, Chantal Oliver Kandinda is here with the traffic updates. I'll be back on Monday to give you details in regards to business, and on Saturday 8:30 p.m. for the business roundup on UBC. Do make a deal with me, as I'll be giving you more from what has been making headlines throughout the world of business. Good morning.
Good morning once again, and thank you for sticking around. It's time for us to see how we are faring in terms of traffic and how do we get to our different destinations. I cannot exhaust everything, but I'll try my level best to make sure that you are able to know how different routes are faring, and you will be in position to make a decision as you are making your way to town. Let's start from the Wampeo Clock Tower, and the Wampeo Clock Tower is mad with a lot of traffic. I highly encourage that you, when you are using these routes, you try to study the different times that traffic is heavy or not heavy. It usually helps. That is a tip. Now, as I'm saying. It is a tip that you can use to know when to use a particular route and when not to use it. If you have been keen, some routes have heavy traffic on at certain times, and then other times they do not, and the reverse is true for some other. So I highly recommend that you take note of the times you move and how these routes are faring, and give it a stretch of a week, let's say, so that you can study how these things move. Then during holidays and during school time, still different routes also have different kinds of traffic. So recommendation is make sure that you are vigilant to know what time do you get to move and which route do you use. Now, if we are looking at Wampeo Avenue is mad with a lot of traffic, especially for you who is trying to join the Wampeo clock tower. I highly advise, if you can avoid it, you use a different route. However, the back part of Wampeo Avenue is safe, especially if you're coming from Lower Kololo Terrace. If you are still coming from York Terrace, you will be finding no traffic if you are joining Wampeo Avenue. But the York Terrace is mad with some traffic, especially as you are closing into the junction that takes you to the Lower Kololo Terrace, but also takes you to Wampeo Avenue. So if you're planning to use York Terrace, prepare for the traffic that is at the end as you're trying to close into the junction. Impala Avenue has no traffic, and Upper Kololo Terrace has no traffic. As you can see, Roscoe Road, no traffic at all. So if these are routes that you can use, it could be access routes, it could be direct routes, then I would recommend you use these ones. Now, Lugogo Bypass seems to be having no traffic. However, if you are coming from Naguru side and you're trying to join the Lugogo Bypass, you'll be meeting some bit of traffic at the junction. And, well, it goes without saying that usually those junctions are mad with some traffic. However, Lugogo Bypass generally has no traffic. You'll be finding it easy to move. Just slow movement in the middle there, but nothing for you to worry about. Now, when we get to the junction that has the Chira Road Police Station, now that junction also has traffic lights, so definitely there has to be some traffic. If you are coming from Chira Road, coming from Bukoto side, coming from Tinda side, and you're onto Chira Road, you will be finding a good stretch of slow movement and traffic, especially as you are closing into the junction that has Chira Road Police Station, and the rest of the parts are actually okay to move. The places where you see the yellow zones are the places that have junctions that usually cause a bit of traffic or slow movement, and that is why I'm saying Chira Road relatively is safe for you to use. You will be in position to move pretty well. Ntinda 2 Road has no traffic. If you're someone that is coming from Chisase trying to join to Ntinda, or trying to join Ntinda and go through to Nakawa, Ntinda 2 Road is a road that you can utilize to get your way to town. Now, Upper Naguru E Road, these are some of the access routes that I usually talk about. Now, this road has no traffic, and as you can see, it takes you all the way to Naguru Hill Rise and Ntinda View Crescent, and Ntinda View. It also takes you to Naguru Summit View. So I would say that you are safe to use that road as you're trying to make your way to the different parts of town. Now, if we proceed on to the Old Kira Road, there is no traffic. The old Kira Road connects you to the main Kira Road. Now, Old Kira Road is what is usually the one that branches off into the downer part of Kamocha, for those that don't know Old Kira Road. Now, that part has no traffic. If you're using it as an access route to get you to Kamocha side, main town, then you can actually use that route. But when you are joining the main road, back onto the main road of Chira Road, you'll be meeting a lot of traffic on there. But after you've joined, then you'll be headed for no traffic whatsoever until you are closing into the junction at the John Babiha Junction or the Acacia Avenue Junction. You'll be finding traffic on there. Now, for you who is coming from Kayunga Road, Tafno Drive, you'll be meeting traffic at the different junctions in there. The John Babiha Road actually has no traffic, but for you who is exiting the John Babiha Road, trying to join probably Kayunga Road or continue on the Old Kira Road or Kira Road, you'll be meeting traffic as you are joining that junction. Then Starrock Road, which happens to be a bit of an access route, you'll be meeting traffic and slow movement until you are after the junction that takes you to Bukoto Street. Now, the old Kira Road proceeding to Mulago side, you will be finding no traffic until you're closing into this very roundabout. Like I always say, this roundabout is still under construction, so definitely you will be expecting traffic onto that road. Now, if you are joining Haji Musa Kasula Road, trying to connect to Makere Hill Road, you'll be finding no traffic, except shortly as you are going to pass by the Nakasero Hill Road. That turnoff usually creates some traffic. And then Yusuf Ole Road, if you are exiting the roundabout, joining Yusuf Ole Road, you're okay to move. However, if you are joining the roundabout from Yusuf Ole Road, you'll be headed for some bit of traffic. Brace yourself for that one. Bina Isa Road has no traffic at all, so you are okay to use that side. Now, Dwaliro Road, no traffic. New Molago Gate Road has a bit of traffic, especially if you're closing into the roundabout around there. And also Katanga pedestrian path, usually also used by cars sometimes, has a little bit of traffic until further inside when you now get into joining Bombo Road, which Bombo Road is not too busy this morning, so you'll be safe to move. And that's it for our traffic updates. Thank you for sticking around. Coming up is Good Morning Uganda agenda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
He expected me to die like within the first 2 years.
Out of the blue, the child will get pains, especially in the wrists. And this happens commonly when children are starting to walk.
Was brought to you by
can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, Kingdoms of Mountain Rwenzori segment. What are the dynamics of the peoples occupying the foothills of the famous mountains of the moon? What brings them together?
One way of identifying ourselves would be the Rwenzori Mountain, where the god happy dwells.
In Uganda, we are called Bakonjo, Bakonzo, Baira. In Congo, we are called Banande.
Ababuisa barukiro bwingi. Na abamba barukiro bwingi. Bali mu Congo.
The Basongora community is a very old community here, Western Uganda and Eastern Congo.
So both Kasese, Toro were part of Nyoro Kitara Kingdom.
We are similar people.
We are one. Use that word pamoja.
It will be showing in Nibundubugyo at Anders Hotel on Friday 16th August and Kasese at Uhuru Plus Hotel on Saturday 17th August 2024, starting at 4:30 p.m. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko pamoja?
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Coming soon on UBC.
Welcome to Inside Broadcasting.
Sharing with you the process behind what you see on the screens.
My name is Lorraine Masika Kazimoto.
Step behind the scenes and witness the magic that brings your daily broadcasts to life.
That's why I come out openly to actually tell you that I'm an investigative journalist. That even when you see me here, I'm actually investigating you guys. So you should be aware about that.
Experience the hustle, the heart, and the human stories of our on and off-air staff.
I see my phone ringing and I'm like, ooh, which number is this? I hear the president on the other line.
The President of the Republic of Uganda.
Of Uganda, yes.
Be inspired, amazed, and part of the journey that powers Uganda's most captivating TV and radio moments.
Because good broadcast comes down to an individual. They should be artistic.
This is Inside Broadcasting.
Inside Broadcasting.
Inside Broadcasting with Mark Wadula.
Coming soon on UBC.
Maintaining a heart-healthy diet is crucial for overall cardiovascular well-being. Here are some foods that are generally considered beneficial for heart health. Number 1. Fatty fish. Fatty fish, such as salmon and mackerel, are rich in omega-3 fatty acids. These essential fats have anti-inflammatory properties and are associated with a reduced risk of heart disease. Omega-3 can help lower triglycerides, decrease blood clotting, and maintain the flexibility of blood vessels. Number 2, berries. Berries are packed with antioxidants, including vitamins C and E, flavonoids, and polyphenols. These compounds help neutralize free radicals in the body, reducing oxidative stress and inflammation, both of which are linked to heart disease. Number 3, oats. Oats contain soluble fiber, particularly
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Morning and thank you so much for being with us on UBC TV. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda Agenda. I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyito. Now what usually happens here is I and a guest or guests discuss issues of national importance, and you're able to be part of this show by simply using our various social media platforms, the X app. You can also send in your concern or question to any of the guests. Usually we have a WhatsApp number that will be displayed on your phone, so you can send a text message or a WhatsApp message, and I promise I'll read them out for my guests to answer. Now, like I said, issues of national importance. We have seen some smoke in Parliament as a result of the proposed regional parliamentary sittings. Now, we are looking at 4 regions in this country where Parliament is going to shift business to sit in these particular 4 regions. Now, we are going to see the Parliament move to northern Uganda for 3 days. Actually, there were previously 2, but now they agreed on 3 days where the entire Parliament of Uganda will be sitting in northern Uganda. They will go to the western, then they will go to the central and eastern. Now, very interesting, the leader of opposition came up and criticized this move, saying it is a wastage of taxpayers' money because, according to him, each of these sittings will require 5 billion shillings. Now, when you look at the 4 regions, that will make it 20 billion shillings. Now, yesterday, members of parliament hailing from the northern part of Uganda distanced themselves from any intended boycotting of these sittings. And they were led by their leader, Anthony Akol, who is the MP clerk, Northern, and he happens to be also the chairperson of the Acholi parliamentary group. And that is WOC. Now, I'm not talking about the WOC, you know. When we talk about the WOC, that is West Nile, Acholi, Lango, and Karamoja region. I have him as my guest this morning to better explain to Ugandans why are they against unnecessary spending. And if we have a parliament where even we are building extension, why are they in for now moving the entire parliament to a particular region for 3 days, and this consumes taxpayers' money? You're most welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, and let me also extend my greetings to our viewers. But above all, let me also thank you for inviting me to this show. I'm happy to be here. Thank you very much.
And we are very eager to hear from you. Now, here, first and foremost, explain or throw more light to the Ugandans when we talk about these parliamentary regional sittings. What are they? This is going to be the first time, despite I think in our law I see something like regional parliaments, but I've never seen this practically.
Well, I came to Parliament in 2016, and I remember that one of the issues was, which was in the agenda of the former Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Kadaga, was a regional parliament, sitting in the sub-regions. And also when Jacob Olanya came, and for a short period of time, he was also interested for the regional parliament sittings. The idea came because Parliament in Uganda is people-centered parliament. And for many period of time, we have been elected members of parliament to come to parliament. But this time round, we want to take parliament to the people. And that has been the idea, which was really key for the purposes to make sure that Ugandans feel the parliament of Uganda. Because for you who sit in Kampala, you're just a few meters away from Parliament of Uganda. For those who come from Nakawa, those who come from Masaka, they're just close to Parliament. You always listen to Parliament of Uganda. When we are sitting every time, when the speaker is announcing those who are in the gallery, it is either Masaka, it is Kayunga, mostly central Uganda. It is rare cases where you find some few people coming also to Kampala. But this is an opportunity, number one, for Ugandans out of Kampala to also have the opportunity to attend Parliament. But more so, the most important one is, if we take the Parliament to the people, in the programming of Parliament in Uganda, they have decided that when you are in northern Uganda, you will be discussing issues of northern Uganda. Actually, the issue of boycott doesn't come. Because as I talk now, the leader of opposition is too late. The opposition members of parliament are already in the activities of this parliament. The committees of education, health, agriculture, infrastructure, government assurance, almost different committees are in the field to make sure they generate businesses for that particular region. Yesterday, if you watch the news very well, the Committee of Infrastructure were on Karumba Bridge, Pakwach Bridge. They were in Pade going towards Karamoja to look at the infrastructural development in northern Uganda, and they will have a report to bring on the floor of Parliament on 28th, 29th, and 30th, 3 days. Before it was 2 days, but we requested the Right Honorable Speaker on Monday. We had a consultation meeting that 2 days is certainly too. Actually, we wanted 1 week, and then they reduced to 3 days. Now, in these 3 days, if we are going to discuss the issue of education for northern Uganda, we'll talk about the health sectors. For example, the Committee of Health is in Karamoja, and they have realized that only one hospital in Karamoja, the whole of Karamoja, what we call hospital. The others are health centers and all this. Similarly, in Acholi sub-region, in West Nile,
in Lango sub-region, this kind of debate that will take place in northern Uganda is different from the debate in Kampala, where a member of parliament is given 2 minutes. A member of parliament is given 3 minutes to speak. That means we are going to be more organized. The next budgeting for this parliament will be with a lot of knowledge that has come from this kind of debates from Western Uganda, from Eastern Uganda, from Northern Uganda, and even Central Uganda. So we believe that this kind of arrangement is not new. It is happening in East African Parliament. They sit in Uganda, they move to Rwanda, they move to South Sudan, they are moving to Tanzania. Similarly, when you go to Tanzania, Parliament does not sit in one place. They sit in Dodoma, they sit in Arusha, they sit in Dar es Salaam. So the problem is when change is coming, people don't believe change will happen.
Now, Honorable.
But when it comes to this issue of the leader of opposition complaining that is a waste of taxpayer money, I don't see any sense in it. You have never, or I have never seen that Parliament is requesting for supplementary budget to go for this sub-regional meeting. No. It is a normal business of Parliament of Uganda. The committees are actually using the same budget that has been budgeted for, whether we go to Gulu, whether we go to Masaka, or we don't go to Mbarara, or we don't go to Mbali, we still spend the same amount of money. And this business of trying to lure Uganda by using health sectors and saying that this money could have been used to buy drugs, this money could have been used to construct a school, this money could have been used to construct maybe a portion of road. It doesn't make sense because this money is not budgeted for health. It is not budgeted for education. It is not budgeted for roads. It is budgeted for activities of Parliament of Uganda. If you divert it to health, that means Parliament should stop sitting. Parliament should be shut down completely. So this business of lying to Ugandans to make sure people buy those lies, it doesn't make sense. Whether we go to Gulu, whether we don't go to Mbale, whether we don't go to Mbarara, we sit in Kampala, we are going to spend this money. There is no single day that the money for business of Committee of Parliament in Uganda has been used to construct a hospital somewhere in Uganda. No. You will tell me if you heard about it. Or there is no single day that a budget of a committee has been used to construct a school somewhere or to buy a drug somewhere. It is not. So I think leader of opposition should stop playing to the gallery to make sure people say he is working. I was surprised yesterday. On the floor of Parliament, this leader of opposition comes and tells Ugandans that he has not had this discussion in the Business Committee of Parliament.
Yes.
He has not had this discussion in the Commission of Parliament. He is corridor talking. But these particular sittings, the sub-regional sitting, was announced on the floor of Parliament by the Speaker. This particular meeting was announced on the budget speech day when there was a budget speech. When the State of Nation address was being addressed in Kololo, the Speaker announced it. And I wonder whether the leader of opposition sits in the commission meeting, sits in the business committee meeting, or not. And the unfortunate thing is, there is a commissioner who has been nominated by them, is serving in Parliament. They don't consider him as part of them. That is lack of knowledge that is happening. There is a gap. Because maybe Matthias is not communicating with them, Honorable Matthias Mpuga.
No, I don't want
otherwise,
to... Otherwise, I don't want to
otherwise,
into the politics of National Unity Platform and Mpuga. I want to stick to the gist of these sittings. Now, Honorable, the public out there, when they hear figures like 5 billion in 3 days to be spent by Parliament, if anyway, those are the right figures, I'm quoting what is said. Now, one wonders, what is it that is going to be done in Masaka, when it goes to Masaka, that is going to be done in Gulu city, that cannot be done in Kampala, declaring 3 days and saying these are the findings, we are going to ensure these 3 days we are handling business of northern region. What is that that can't be done here? Because now we are looking at, or is it inland travel? I think that is 400,000 per member of Parliament. You are about 500 and over 500. We are looking at, now there's also some fencing of some of these places, like the stadium, where this is going to be. We are looking at all these travels. What is that cannot be done here, that necessitates you to travel, Parliament to move to this direction? Or are you having so much of a big budget, 900 billion each financial year, and you're looking for ways of spending this money?
Number one, when the leader of opposition said that it is a corridor talk, I wonder where I got the budget amount from. Because for me, I don't know if it is 500, if it is 5 billion per sitting. But even if it's 5 billion per sitting, it is not spent in 3 days. I have told you that as I talk now, the committees of Parliament are in the field. So the activities are continuous activities. You don't say it is going to be spent only in 3 days. That is wrong. As we talk, almost all the committees are in the field. Those who deal with the presidential pledges are looking at what are the pledges in Amuro, where maybe the technical school that was supposed to be built in Guruguru, you remember the 1911 rebellion place as a memorial place. Maybe they are going to Karamoja. These are all expenses that is ongoing now. So it is wrong for somebody to zero every activities to only 3 days. The staff of Parliament has been going to Gulu to look for accommodations and make sure that they are certified, that they are good for members of Parliament to spend the nights in those places. These are expenses that is going to take place. But even if that is 5 billion for these particular activities, by the way, if the budget of Parliament is about 900 billion, what is 20 billion? And this is expenditure for almost 1 year, because from northern Uganda, you are going to be in the central Uganda, you're going to be in western Uganda, you're going to be in eastern Uganda. So why do you zero it down to appear that there is something dangerous in Parliament in Uganda? I don't think this is right, because it's part of Parliament. Actually, this is money budgeted for. And the leader of opposition sits in the budget, in commission of Parliament Uganda. That's where the budget of Parliament is discussed. If he was against it, you make sure it is not budgeted for at that point. But you don't wait. We're in August, and the meeting is starting on 28th, 29th, and 30th. Then you come and say we are boycotting. And what is the benefit of boycotting? Parliament is about speaking, it's about talking. How can you talk out of Parliament? This is something that I feel the pain. I have personally been stopped several times to attend activities of Parliament by the leader of opposition. I am FDC. I have never attended budget speech. I have never attended the State of Nation address because leader of opposition has spoken without even consulting us. You just see order, which is wrong. You see, leader of opposition is part of Parliament. If you have grievances, you have to make appointment with the Speaker, have a meeting with the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, and the Clerk of Parliament. I'm happy. Yesterday, when he raised it on the floor of Parliament, the Deputy Speaker ruled that today they're having a meeting. And the meeting will be with the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, the Clerk of Parliament, and the leader of opposition. I wish this issue is resolved. You don't come to Ugandans to take your war to Ugandans when really you have administrative issues that can be addressed from Parliament. He is part of administration of Parliament.
Now, the head of opposition looks at this. You know that Parliament has been criticized for being extremely extravagant in terms of expenditure, issues of corruption. The image is not that very interesting. Now, when he comes up and says, but let's look at how we are spending, Ugandans not to think that maybe we have a huge budget and therefore we are looking at ways of how we can spend this money. He says, look, explain to me clearly how these sittings are going to help the people in regions where they go to. Let's now look at northern Uganda, how they're going to help the West Nile, Acholi, Lango, Karamoja. Yes, the entire Parliament. And I'm afraid to say to our viewer that when I look at records of Parliament, many members of Parliament have been returning money for inland travel for reasons I don't know. Why do people choose to return this money at the end of the day and not do these inland travels? So it is something that we really, when we look at value for money, You're given money to travel, you people. But outside Uganda, you rush and go. Now, Honorable, how is it going to benefit these people in these particular areas I've talked about, that they should be excited that this is something coming to their region and they stand to benefit?
Since the planning for this regional meeting started, we have started seeing the benefits.
Oh, I better listen.
Because number one, when we raise the issues which are going to be discussed in northern Uganda, when Parliament goes to Gulu, government decided to start implementing some of these issues before so that they will have answer to give us. I give you a simple example. West Nile was never connected to the national grid. But because that was one of the key issues which were going to be discussed in Gulu, few days ago you saw the president now in West Nile, connecting West Nile to national grid. In Acholi sub-region, for a long time, people have been claiming for the livestock compensation. Because that is going to be an issue to be discussed. And we have submitted to government that this is something we want the update for. Many people have been calling me, they've started receiving payment because government want to have an answer to Parliament. The issue of our land conflict, for a long time, the president of Uganda appointed this Judiciary Commission inquiry. And they were not in operation for a year plus. As I talk with you, they have received funding, they are rushing to the ground, so that by the time we are reaching Gulu, the Prime Minister will be able to tell us the commission has started work already. So these are some of the benefits. You know, when you focus your forces to a particular area, even in the army, then you see the results. But we have been talking in piecemeal. You come with your issue from central Uganda, another one stand up from western Uganda, another one is standing for northern Uganda, another one eastern Uganda. It is a mixed up discussion on the floor of Parliament. This is going to be focused on northern Uganda discussions. Why the poverty has been going up. Actually has been 68%. As of recent, the UBOS is saying the poverty level has gone to 70%. We want to find out from government why. Is the intervention being done wrongly? What next do you have? This is like emergency issues. What are you going to do as Parliament? So you will see the impact of these because of the concentration of Parliament per sub-region. And that's why I'm saying the discussion about wastage should not come in. But because what is the definition of wastage? This money, by the way, was going to be spent by the committee. And many a times, the inland travel has been returned to the treasury. So this is a time for utilizing it properly to do the rightful work. And if anything, if this turned up to be the best, I would advise the Parliament of Uganda to make sure for every term of office, either once or twice, Parliament must go to the sub-regions. And that works better. Because if it is working in other countries, why do we say it should not be done in Uganda? So these petty issues about, I was not informed, I need to be briefed, that can be handled administratively by Parliament and sitting together with leader of opposition, which should not be an issue of discussion.
Well, I earlier told you that you can be part of the topic of discussion this lovely morning when I'm with the chairperson of the Acholi Parliamentary Group now. These are members from northern Uganda that are saying we should have these regional parliamentary sittings happening and kicking off. Remember, the first place that will be visited is northern Uganda. 3 days, the Parliament of Uganda, the Speaker, the entire Parliament will be in northern Uganda at a designated place. And remember, our law allows Parliament to sit anywhere as long as the Speaker declares so. So the Parliament will be now in northern Uganda. Those 3 days discussing matters of northern Uganda. But we have a challenge here where we are looking at how much are we going to be spending, and this is the issue. Is it value for money? Is this unnecessary expenditure? Or we can do something that will give us still the same tangible benefits in the August House here at the national venue of Parliament. Why then are we moving this side? Well, please send in your views, but kindly make them very brief. I have one. Good morning, viewers. This is Tony from Bundibujo. The Parliament sits in Kampala. Does the Honorable MP want to tell us that all Kampala problems are solved now. People do not want to see parliament. They want issues that affect them worked on. So people do not want to come to northern Uganda and sit in the gallery and see many vehicles come in the area. They want to see issues that affect them being worked on. That is one of our viewers. Good morning, Uganda. Thanks for the program. So disappointed with the so-called honorable speech. Avail me with his profile. How many times has he addressed the concern of northern Uganda on the floor of parliament? Someone is asking that. Please give me your name. Kindly give me your name. Wow, this is a long one, but I'll try to cut it short. How sure are we that when parliament is shifted to different regions, then our problems will be solved? What has parliament discovered that has never been discussed in parliament, and so they are looking for it? What haven't the MPs presented to parliament concerning their regions, and so the parliament is going for it? Why do we have ministers of certain regions like Karamoja ministry? The ministers that we have in Uganda would be enough to have all the problematic needs concerning every region, because I assume that those ministries have agents. Well, allow me, Tembo, Tito, Kasese, let me end your message there. I think my guest gets your concern there. Please, let's make these very brief. Yes, thanks so much, mister. This is Onono Justin from northern Uganda. The Aru County 2021 30 youngest MP aspirant. I really agree by what Honorable Athona Cole is saying. Oh, now you have people supporting you here. Let me look at one coming in here. Please keep them short. That is my humble request. Some are extremely so long. But what is that they can't discuss in Parliament? Esau. People. Good morning. This is Regan Ronald Chamanywa. Why doesn't you just sit in Parliament and decide that sitting is dedicated to only Western region, or rather any other region, than spending that money on regional meetings? Honorable, let's first answer those.
I think, number one, it looks like I'm speaking poor English. Because if my English was very clear, I made it very clear that the budget that is going to be spent is the normal budget of Parliament of Uganda. So there is nothing to do with wasted of resources.
Even if you don't go, or you
if
go?
we don't go, this same amount of money will be spent in Kampala. This one is asking Parliament sits
Logically
in Kampala.
how? You know, let's simplify this to the viewer. In their perception, they are asking, this includes travel expenses, you know, accommodation. I don't know if Boma Hotel, I think this is the one I'm used to, a night, 3 nights for a member of parliament, how much is that going to cost? Than a member of parliament coming from his home, because most of you have homes in Kampala here, or are renting in Kampala, drive to parliament and discuss these issues. So for them, logic, it's hard to believe that this is part of the 900 billion budget of parliament, and this money, therefore, even if you don't go, still will be spent. It's hard to...
Maybe to put it straightforward, there has been no supplementary request for this sub-regional meeting.
That is better.
If there was a supplementary request that Parliament has made for these particular sittings, then you call it a special expenditure. In other words, I'm telling you, what used to be the normal expenses of Parliament will be the same amount spent, except that we are spending it in Gulu instead of Kampala. Because even when you're in Kampala, you are spending money. The other person was asking, Parliament sits in Kampala. Have problems of Kampala been solved? We don't sit in Kampala to discuss problems of Kampala only. But now when we go to northern Uganda, 3 days of intensive discussion on issue of northern Uganda, it carries more weight than piecemeal discussions. That's what I was emphasizing. Similarly, when we go to Western Uganda, you know, Western Uganda, many Ugandan things that all resources are going to Western Uganda. I personally went to Buwezo district at one point. I saw one primary school, a public school, government school. You don't believe it is in Western Uganda. Some members of parliament don't know. When you go to Karamoja, when you bring issue of Karamoja to be discussed in parliament in Uganda, some members of parliament have never crossed Karamoja. They don't know anything. Now committees are moving to Karamoja. They will appreciate when you tell them that people are dying of hunger, a budget needs to be put for Karamoja. These are issues we are talking about. When a particular problem is seen by a person because there is sitting in northern Uganda, that person behaves differently from sitting in Kampala and discussing something he or she doesn't know. I am wondering, for example, I don't know whether leader of opposition has reached Napak, whether he has reached Kotido.
Or crossed Karuma.
Or crossed Karuma, by the way, since he was leader of opposition. Or has been in Amuru, in Apa. This was opportunity for him as leader of opposition to move to northern Uganda, collect issues of northern Uganda, and come on the floor of parliament and challenge government of Uganda that NRM government, you've been in power for all this period. What were you doing? Why are people in poverty like this? This is the opportunity. Instead of saying wasted of resources. I don't know definition of wasted of resources. Because otherwise, this money is budgeted for activities of parliament, and what we are going for is activities of parliament. So why do you call it wasted of resources? If we are diverting it for another thing, maybe for merrymaking, we are making party, or given to members of parliament, you can call it wasted of resources. And I would have joined him, by the way. I am not NRM. And for facts, I don't accept wasted of resources in this country. I don't.
Well, time seems to be flying very, very fast. I'm still with Honorable Anthony Akol, who happens to be the MP clerk in northern Uganda, but also the chairman of Acholi parliamentary group. And these are the people who stood up and they're saying, leader of opposition, please, this is something we must have because of the benefits attached to it. Now, very few here coming in. Thank you. Kasango Isma, MP to Bibugweri constituency. Those people are just ashamed. Nothing changed. Changing the place of discussion cannot solve the problems of Uganda just by like our... okay. Please, we do not mention people's names. Be careful when sending messages, most when they're not there to defend themselves. Now, good morning. I am in support of your discussion. It's a great idea to rotate parliamentary sittings. It's been long overdue. It should have happened very many years ago. I do not know how my fellow Ugandans are having trouble to comprehend this. Besides, the deliberations, the businesses in the respective regions will benefit economically. Yes, he has. Good morning, Uganda. Thanks for the program. So, well, the messages are two-sided, 50-50. You have those agreeing with you and those saying, well, it seems more of unavoidable expenditure, yet we can still get the right results. But many are saying, let's think broad. If just imagine, if we get excited of hosting NAM, CHOGAM, and all that, what about having 500 members of parliament, if at all they all turn up? In this particular region of the country for 3 good days, what opportunities come with their spending, investment opportunities, and so much. Those are some of the messages. But Honorable, I must let you go to leave room for more programming. Let me just have your parting shot on this matter.
The issue is very simple. People don't like change. And when new things are introduced, it takes time for people to understand it. But I wish Ugandans to appreciate it. This is done in good faith. There is nothing like self-interest in this. The businesses in Gulu will boom, the accommodation, the happening places. The tourist sites are going to be visited. People, members of parliament will visit schools in northern Uganda, identify the problems, and the discussion will get focused. Similarly, we'll come to eastern Uganda, central Uganda, and western Uganda. So, it is not new, it has happened and is still happening in other countries. We need to have the beginning point of it. And I'm happy for this administration of parliament to have decided something that was really being discussed for many years, but it was not put into practice. So I'm happy about that. For people of northern Uganda, people are prepared. We've been on talk shows, and people are happy waiting to see Parliament in Gulu. Similarly, those in Bali, those in Masaka, those in Barara. We wish to be with you, and I will attend all this. By the way, I'm in opposition, and many other people who are in opposition are also against. But I'm happy that even if the leader of opposition say we are not going to, but he say we may boycott. So I will actually request him to reconsider that decision. Let us combine our hands. This country belongs to all of us, and we have to sit together and deliberate for this country. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable, for your time. And our viewer, thank you so much for being with us. There are so many messages coming in on this topic, and I must say it's really a hot debate to discuss. But one thing that is very clear, it is very important for us to concentrate on region after region. The question is, will we have value for money? Will the members of parliament be there? Will they deliberate those issues? And those captured, will they be reflected in the budget? If in the budget an allocation is given, will we have this implementation? Because these are the people giving their problems and they need to be solved. Thank you so much. See you in the next hour, God willing. Have a lovely day. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
He expected me to die like within the first 2 years.
Out of the blue, the child will get pains, especially in the wrists. And this happens commonly when children are starting to walk.
Was brought to you by...
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, Kingdoms of Mountain Rwenzori segment. What are the dynamics of the peoples occupying the foothills of the famous mountains of the moon? What brings them together?
One way of identifying ourselves would be the Rwenzori Mountain, where the God happy dwells.
In Uganda, we are called Bakonjo, Bakonzo, Baira. In Congo, we are called Banande.
Ababuisa barukiro bwingi. Na abamba barukiro bwingi. Bali mu Congo.
The Basongora community is a very old community here, Western Uganda and Eastern Congo.
So both Kasese, Toro were part of Nyoro Kitara Kingdom.
We are similar people.
We are one. Use that word pamoja.
It will be showing in Nibundubugyo at Anders Hotel on Friday 16th August and Kasese at Uhuru Plus Hotel on Saturday 17th August 2024, starting at 4:30 p.m. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko pamoja?
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.